Hello and welcome back to another 10-minute investor eye test. This is Sasha with Arcanum Ventures. I'm here with my good friend and colleague Carmelo, and today we are diving into Sahara AI, which is an all-in-one platform for the development and monetization of AI models. It's a platform where users can apparently access open source and proprietary AI models, data sets, developer tools, etc. And they've got some pretty big backers. Mello, how are you? And what do you know about Sahara?
Doing well. Thanks for asking. And yeah, I know the Sahara is a desert in Africa, and I know that AI is in the title, so it's AI related. But basically, everything you just told me about it in that wonderful intro is all I know about it. And like you mentioned, the very, very impressive cap table. And we wanted to be clear because every week we choose another eye test victim to do. And
Victim.
we choose it for different reasons, like interesting narrative, or a lot of the times it's because the cap table's like blown us away. So I can't remember off the top of my head. I think Binance Labs or Geezy Labs or whatever the hell they're calling it now, and then Sequoia and Pantera, which that's a nice triumvirate of heavy hitting tier one VCs to have on your cap table. So as usual, we want to learn more about why these companies or why these VCs and funds are looking into Sahara AI and why that's their big bet on decentralized AI models and training and monetization.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for those of you that are unaware with this format, we take 10 short minutes to dive into a project that's launching a token or a digital asset, understand if that is something that we would invest in or consider investing in, and wait until the end for our verdicts to hear our takes on whether we would or not. And yeah, with that being said, you ready to dive in, man?
I'm ready.
All right, 10 short minutes on Sahara starting right. Meow, boom. And I've got crypto rank up here. Some basic information on the project. And like you said, look at these beautiful, beautiful logos they've been farming. Polychain, Pantera, Easy Labs, Sequoia, Samsung Next, which you do not see often in the world of Web3. Yeah, these are some really big names, man.
Yeah, Foresight Ventures, Mirana. So it's like
Hmm.
it's impressive enough to catch our eye. This is, I don't love to admit it, but this is what a lot of VCs and funds and even angel and retail investors also do. They look for that validation when they see the cap table and you see a Pantera or a Polychain or a Sequoia. You think, I want to get in on this without even knowing what it is because these guys have already validated it, and they have huge teams of analysts that have already looked into this. But I wouldn't say this is a good investment strategy because they might be getting very good deal very early, like a much reduced price, or who knows. They have a lot of control over this, so that's a good lesson to take away from this. But yeah, we couldn't ignore this with that cap table.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I remember reading a fantastic quote in a book recently saying 80 to 90% of VCs delegate their decision making to other VCs. And so that's what we often see in the space. A lot of people looking at cap table building, which is definitely a strategy on the fundraising side, looking at those logos and saying, ooh, they must have done the research because they've got research people and I don't know anything about research. Talking about you, Web3 VCs. But yeah, so hopefully, there's something behind Polychain Pantera getting into it. But I do see, based on this publicly available info on CryptoRank, they're raising close to $51.5 million. They've raised already, what is it, $43 million across seed and Series A, which is incredible. And I'm
Wow.
assuming that's with equity and probably some of the token, right?
Yeah, and like I think out of all the things I've seen, aside from like a layer one or layer two, and I think this is its own blockchain if I'm not mistaken. But if you want to pull in the big bucks, you have something AI tangent. So this this covers all the boxes. It makes sense, and also it looks like it's launching on BuildPad. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
want to say I've never heard of that, and I hate crypto's obsession with the word biddle. It freaks me out. Like it's such a
I do.
uncomfortable word to say.
I do as well. I do as well. Yeah, I just wanted to make one note here. Look at the astonishing number of VCs that had follow-on investment in the Series A.
Oh
That's
yeah.
incredible. Wow. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the website and see what we've got for Sahara.
Hmm.
So built for AI developers, open for everyone, a platform where everyone can create and monetize AI models, datasets, and apps in a collaborative space built on the Sahara blockchain. So right away, we know they're building a layer one or a layer two or a roll up or something, right?
Yeah, and I would like to say kudos to Sahara AI because this is probably one of the best. This is like a masterclass on how I would organize a website. You have that immediate validation on the bottom, like uh, what
Yeah.
is that? Snapchat. You have Amazon. You have Microsoft. You have some of the most recognizable logos and companies in the world. It says trusted by leading tech innovators and research institutions. So one thing you do have to be careful about is like, what does that mean? Like, I think it's not. If there were just the logos, I think it would be like, oh, we're using Microsoft Excel, or we're using Amazon Web Hosting. But it says trusted by them, so maybe they're using this technology for whatever reason. And also, they have two really great calls to action. They get started and join the beta, so they have a clear goal in mind when you visit the website and they catch you on the landing page and it just looks nice. It's very aesthetically pleasing. They have their own
Mm.
well refined branding, so I think this is definitely take notice of this if you're a founder and you're wondering how to structure your website because that's pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. In most cases, when you browse a company or a startup's website, and depending on how that website is laid out, it might give you an idea of what their short term or like near term goals are, right?
Yeah.
We've seen here like they've got information on products, so data services platform, AI developer platform. The blockchain is coming soon, but they do have the testnet explorer. They've got different, let's say, website navigation journeys for developers on the model side, app, data contributors. This is fantastic. There's a lot happening here. The
Hmm.
only exception to that rule is that maybe you see like some token startup, and the first thing they flash in your face is buy our token,
Yeah.
and then maybe like 8 months later after they launch, they rug pull or they forget to change the website.
Yeah.
So you just see that like persisting there. But this is great. This tells me that Sahara is serious. They're looking for developers. They're looking for people to use their networks, use their data infrastructure. So I like that. I do see documentation here, but we should probably see if there's any information on the blockchain, how it functions, and maybe the token in this landing page still.
Again, this is great. You and I both like try to, we strive to say, segment your community, figure out who you're talking to, and literally spell it out on the screen. Like, this is for resource providers, this is for AI users, this is for developers. So they have like several clear paths for people to use this company and its products and its platform. And you're absolutely right. There's a maturation point here where we're not seeing so much mention of the token in the initial part of the page because it's not what the core product is. It's just an ecosystem asset that I can imagine that facilitates all of this tech that's going on in the background. So I do love that. That being said, we've also seen a lot of projects that have mentioned nothing about their blockchain or their tokens lately. So that's the downside to this. So you need to find that happy medium. You need to clearly let investors know, unless you're not interested in taking more money on, what the token does. And even if you're not taking more money on, you should let people know what the token does because you want them to hold it or earn it or to use it in the ecosystem.
It's such a good point. I think this is something we've seen so many times in past eye tests, especially recently.
Yeah.
Like there's very little information on here around what the token is doing, yet they're launching an IDO on BiddlePad. And so like where can these people go to try and learn about what you're selling them? And so maybe there's more information in the documentation, but again, nothing around the token besides there's a blockchain. So I have to assume that the token is part of the core consensus mechanism for helping operate and settle transactions and also secure the network.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like it's only guessing right now, and we can guess, but we might wait till the end if we don't see anything specifically around token use cases. But there is so much here that we like. There's so much to unpackage here. It seems like they're doing a lot of really cool things.
Yeah, and they got decent content. I think they even had a competition on their social media where people were using either other LLMs or their own LLM if it's live. I'm not sure it is, but to make like memes and graphics and stuff. So they have a pretty strong community, which is important if you're building a blockchain. You need that rabid community that's there. Essentially your boots on the ground. So this seems like they're doing that well. is so they're really firing on all cylinders.
Absolutely. This is the documentation page, which is, sadly in like a Git book format. I'm not a big fan of that, especially for a blockchain. What you want to see is more of a technical document that outlines how the blockchain functions, if there are any sort of unique technical innovations that are, that kind of help it stand apart from existing layer one or layer two roll-up solutions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, would it make more sense for them to just build all their infrastructure on an existing blockchain that's battle tested, that's got liquidity? Taking a blockchain to market is not easy compared to an altcoin. So,
Yeah.
I don't see anything here that might give me an idea of like what the token does itself.
On that note, too, you brought up an interesting point, and I think you and I have both started to see more blockchains that are launching that do not have any plans to have alternative assets, meme coins, altcoins on it. It's just strictly using the infrastructure to facilitate whatever's happening on that network, whether it's an AI chain or a roll up. So that's interesting as well, new development. So you don't have to worry about the onboarding of companies and builders in that regard. You want people to use your tech, but you don't need them to have their own token. Uh, Also, you and I have designed a few similar
Hmm.
concepts, AI compute, edge compute networks that are launching their own blockchain as well. So I think we could probably venture some guesses as to what the token is doing, but there is some information here about monetization. Anytime you hear the word monetization, it seems like the token is a medium for that. It's like a medium of exchange, and it's also tied to royalties for helping to train models, whether it's the base
Yeah,
layer or layers stacked on top of that are more specialized.
yeah, absolutely. I think I'm all for purpose-driven blockchains. I think creating a blockchain network that encompasses your entire business
Yeah.
is, and we're out of time. But yeah, just to finish my point real quick, I think having a sort of like blockchain that encompasses an entire business and all of the economic activity behind your business is incredible. And like you said, we've designed some models like that. But what investors need to realize is that what they're buying, what they're investing into, is a slice of economic activity only from your business.
Hmm.
There's less room for network effects if you're not going to allow launching additional assets or companies launching additional assets or meme coins and speculation, liquidity, and everything that comes with that. You're not going to have that added benefit or added value from people that are not from your team, like just attracting builders or whoever. So you're just, the success of the investment depends directly on how good your business does. It's almost like investing in a DAO.
I'm not sure I agree with that. Just, I think you're right, partially, that the token, yeah, you're not going to have people building their own tokens, which may be a good thing. It may take out the speculation aspect. But I imagine, if I understood this correctly, that thousands and thousands of developers and people are going to use this underlying technology to train their own models. And they're going to have to pay for that privilege to use this network. They're going to have to pay the people that help train and supply that information or that compute or whatever. So, there's room for potentially millions of people to build small businesses on this. Like maybe it's a small, really simple, like a recipe app that you're using to train with your grandma's recipes, and then you're selling that. And anytime somebody downloads it, the network gets a cut, but you get the royalties for it. So it could open up an avenue for a lot of people to build their own new kinds of businesses without worrying about a token. Like I think maybe last cycle, everybody's thinking, how can I make a token or justify a token with my business idea? Well, most of the time, as we saw, that was, let's just build a token and figure out the rest later, and the rest never came. So it was like, I want to launch a token and be a founder, but I don't know what to do beyond that. Now I think this is a little bit better if people start to do that, and then there's just this rich ecosystem of app developers there without tokens.
That is a really good point. And I guess I need to refine my statement because in Sahara's case, you're right. App developers are coming on board. And if you consider the development, launch, and monetization of the usage of an application as a business, yeah, and they're allowing developers to build business on the network. And so, what they're missing out on compared to like a different layer one or roll up solution is a lot of the value that comes simply around the speculation and trading digital assets on their network. whereas the network itself might benefit from that economic activity from these applications or businesses built on top. So that's an interesting kind of hybrid. Yeah. But with that said, let's dive into our verdicts. And before we do, we would like to remind all of our viewers, if you're enjoying this content, make sure you tap that like button, throw us a follow or subscribe. We've got plenty of more 10-minute eye tests and exciting boom room interviews coming, along with everything else we do on the content side. If you agree or disagree with our take, or you just want to call us clowns, make sure you drop a comment below and we will respond. And then, yeah, Carmelo, if you like, go ahead and give me your verdict on Sahara AI, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep it short and sweet today. And I wanted to say that you and I have been pretty harsh in the past. And if we don't see any information about a token, we're kind of like instantly pass. If I can't find anything about the potential investment opportunity in the first 10 minutes, not a great look. But here is a great example of a company that's done enough to increase the margin of error. So despite not having much information about the blockchain itself, the tech, like the technical white paper we couldn't find, or the token and how it plugs in utility-wise, I am encouraged by everything else that I saw, the way they marketed themselves, the way they developed clear paths for developers, for users, for data suppliers, whatever. They seem to have a good grasp on that, and they also have that institutional adoption, and not to mention what we said first, the cap table is quite impressive. So in that first 10 minutes, for most projects, I'd say no token information, not interested, because they're very opaque about what they actually do and what I'm investing in. But this is a rare example of a company that, you know, I would give them a thumbs up based off of everything I've seen. I would like to look more into this. It's interesting enough to warrant more research and deep diving. That's not to say that the thumbs up means I want to invest in this, because we still don't know what the token does. But yes, thumbs up. I am impressed with everything I've seen. I can understand from what we've seen also the cap table, why these big dogs are on the cap table. Like they see how professional they carry themselves, or what the website looks like. Sometimes these kind of shallow cosmetic things really go a long way. And you and I have also told this to so many founders and so many companies, that going that extra mile with branding really could save you. Like it can make the difference between bringing in that first lead investor or not. If everything looks cheap, well, this is a good example of something that doesn't look cheap. It looks expensive, it looks fancy, and you can tell that that money's been put to good use.
I think that's a very fair case. Where's your thumb pointing, man?
Up.
Up. One thumb up. Okay.
I said thumbs up already.
Did you? I
Yeah.
remember. Okay. You know what? I kind of agree and I disagree. And so I'll give it a thumb up. And the thumb up means that I'm willing to learn more. I want to dive deeper. I want to understand you know, some of the things and like figure out the gaps in my knowledge here for Sahara AI. But the thing that I'm like kind of interpreting it as is the cap table is impressive, and that alone is a huge driver for me to want to learn more. What we saw in the beginning of the video, you know, like a kind of overall high level sentence giving us an idea of what Sahara AI is doing. Everything that we've seen on the website and the documentation is essentially just supporting that. It's validating, hey, we're Sahara AI and this is what we're doing. From an investment perspective, there are a number of different fundamentals that you want to try and check on the list, which is not only, hey, what are we doing, but how are we going to do it? Who are we doing it with? When are we going to do it? And how are we doing so far? And I don't think I've seen any of those other questions here. I do know they've got 900,000+ followers on Twitter, and they've got some, you know, some in real life events under their belt. I do know that the cap table is hugely impressive, which means that the how are we doing so far and some of the other points likely are in good shape. But it's still our goals as investors to dive deeper and figure that out. So I definitely am interested in learning more, but I don't think Sahara AI did such a great job of explaining all the rest. Maybe there's a reason behind that. Maybe they don't need to bring in more investment. They simply need to bring on builders, data providers, developers for applications and users of their technology, and then maybe promote their public offering a little bit. So maybe that's purposefully why they've done that. But as an investor that would be considering like a larger check into the token pre or post launch, these are some of the things I would be looking for. But regardless, one thumb up. Good job, Sahara AI. We wish you the best of luck on your upcoming token launch. Again, your friends from Arcanum Ventures, Sasha and Carmelo, thanks for sticking with us through 10 minutes on Sahara AI. And until then, stay safe, y'all. Ciao.
Ciao.